Have you ever noticed that the more you try to please everyone, the more invisible you become? You answer every message. You apologize even when you've done nothing wrong. You say yes when every part of you wants to say no. You call it kindness. But deep inside, you feel exhausted, resentful, as if little pieces of yourself disappear each time you put someone else's comfort above your own. Marcus Aurelius would ask a simple question. If you abandon your own character to satisfy others, who exactly are you serving? The Stoics never taught people to become cold. They taught something much harder, to become good without becoming weak, because there is a difference. A river nourishes every living thing it touches, but when it overflows its banks, it destroys itself first. Many people mistake constant agreement for virtue. It is not. Virtue is guided by wisdom, not by the fear of disappointing others. If your kindness comes from fear of rejection, it is no longer kindness. It is dependency wearing the mask of generosity. Most people become too nice for one reason, not because they love others, but because they desperately want to be loved, and that desire quietly places their happiness into someone else's hands. Every compliment becomes necessary, every approval becomes addictive, every criticism feels like a wound. Soon, you are no longer living according to your values. You are living according to everyone else's expectations. Marcus Aurelius warned himself every morning that he would meet people who were selfish, impatient, arrogant, and dishonest. Notice something remarkable. He never said, "I must make them like me." He simply reminded himself to remain true to his own character. That is freedom. Not controlling how others see you, but refusing to let their opinions control you. The person who cannot say no cannot truly say yes. Because every agreement made from fear is not a choice. It is surrender. Think about the tree standing quietly in the middle of a storm. It bends with the wind, but it never uproots itself just to satisfy the storm. Your principles should be the same, flexible, but deeply rooted. When you constantly sacrifice your peace to avoid conflict, conflict does not disappear. It simply moves inside you, and over time, that hidden conflict becomes anxiety, bitterness, emotional exhaustion. Many people smile while carrying silent resentment, not because they are bad people, but because they never learned that boundaries are acts of self-respect. The Stoics believed every person has duties, to family, to society, to humanity. But they also believed you have a duty to your own soul, and no duty requires you to betray yourself. Being too nice often creates the opposite of what you hope for. People begin expecting your endless availability. Your generosity becomes invisible. Your sacrifices become normal. Not because people are cruel, but because human beings quickly adapt to what is constantly given. Respect rarely follows endless accommodation. Respect follows quiet consistency. When your words match your values, others learn where your boundaries stand, and those who truly value you will remain. The rest were only attached to your usefulness. That may sound painful, but it is also liberating, because it reveals who was loving you and who was simply benefiting from you. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that no external praise could make him better. Likewise, no rejection could make him worse. Your worth does not increase because someone approves of you, and it does not decrease because someone walks away. A diamond remains a diamond, even if no one recognizes its value. So why spend your life begging strangers to confirm what your own character should already know? Perhaps the greatest danger of being too nice is not that others take advantage of you. It is that you slowly lose sight of yourself. Each compromise feels small. One unwanted favor, one swallowed opinion, one forced smile, one unnecessary apology. Until one day, you wake up living a life that no longer feels like your own. The Stoic path is different. Speak honestly, Forgive generously, but never abandon reason to gain approval. Say no when your conscience says no. Walk away when respect disappears. Remain silent when arguing serves no purpose. Offer kindness because it reflects your character, not because you expect acceptance in return. Remember, the sun gives light to everyone, yet it never asks permission to shine. Your goodness should be the same, steady, quiet, independent, not manipulated by praise, not diminished by criticism, not traded for temporary acceptance. Because true strength is not found in pleasing everyone, it is found in remaining yourself, even when not everyone is pleased. So the next time you feel guilty for protecting your time, for saying no, for choosing peace over approval, remember the words Marcus Aurelius lived by. Your responsibility is not to be liked. Your responsibility is to live with integrity. And sometimes, the kindest thing you can do is stop being too nice. Because only then can you finally become truly good. The moment you stop chasing approval, something unexpected begins to happen. At first, people may resist. The person who always relied on your endless yes will wonder why you suddenly hesitate. The friend who called only when they needed something may become distant. The co-worker who expected you to carry their burden may call you selfish. Do not be surprised. People often mistake a boundary for betrayal, especially when they benefited from your lack of one. Marcus Aurelius understood this well. He never expected everyone to agree with his decisions. He expected only one thing from himself, to act according to reason, not according to fear. This is where many people lose their courage. The first time they disappoint someone, guilt rushes in. Their mind whispers, "Maybe I should just apologize. Maybe I'm being difficult. Maybe I should go back to the way I was." But ask yourself this: if saying yes leaves you empty, was it ever kindness, or was it simply self-neglect? The Stoics believed that emotions deserve attention, but they should never become your master. Feeling guilty does not automatically mean you have done something wrong. Sometimes, guilt is simply the discomfort of becoming someone healthier. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack every day for years. The moment you set it down, your shoulders feel strange, not because carrying it was right, but because suffering had become familiar. Many people confuse familiarity with truth. The same happens when you begin protecting your peace. At first, it feels uncomfortable, not because boundaries are wrong, but because you are no longer sacrificing yourself to make others comfortable. Over time, something remarkable changes. You begin speaking more honestly. You stop over-explaining every decision. You stop apologizing for existing. You stop rehearsing imaginary conversations in your mind. Your silence becomes lighter. Your smile becomes genuine, because it is no longer forced. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Notice he did not say, the opinions of others, the expectations of others, or the approval of others. He pointed inward, because that is the only place lasting peace can ever be found. Think of the mountains. They do not lower themselves because someone complains they are too high. The ocean does not stop its waves because someone fears the tide. The sunrise does not delay itself until everyone is awake to admire it. Nature teaches a quiet lesson. Everything fulfills its purpose without asking permission. So why do we spend so much of our lives asking permission to be ourselves? To rest, to say no, to leave unhealthy relationships, to pursue a different path, to protect our peace. Perhaps because we fear loneliness. Yet the Stoics viewed solitude differently. They understood that being alone is far less dangerous than losing yourself in a crowd. There is a profound difference between connection and dependence. Connection allows two whole people to walk together. Dependence forces one person to disappear so the other can remain comfortable. Never confuse the two. Healthy relationships do not demand the sacrifice of your identity. They respect it. And when you finally stop living for applause, you discover something extraordinary. Freedom. Not the freedom to do whatever you want, but the freedom to live according to your principles, to give without resentment, to help without expectation, to love without losing yourself. That is the kind of strength Marcus Aurelius admired, quiet, steady, unshakable, because the strongest person in the room is rarely the loudest. It is often the one who knows exactly where kindness ends and self-respect begins. The world will always encourage you to be agreeable. Smile more. Say yes. Keep everyone happy. Avoid difficult conversations. Do whatever it takes to keep the peace. But Marcus Aurelius would remind you of something that few people ever consider. Peace built on pretending is not peace. It is merely silence hiding conflict. Every time you silence your own conscience to satisfy another person, you create a small fracture within yourself. One fracture seems harmless, then another and another, until the strongest battle you fight is no longer with the world, but with the person staring back at you in the mirror. This is why the Stoics placed such importance on integrity. Integrity is not about appearing good. It is about remaining whole. It means your words, your actions, and your values all move in the same direction. A person without integrity is constantly divided. One version of themselves appears in public. Another exists in private. One speaks with confidence. The other quietly regrets every compromise. No amount of praise can heal that division. Only honesty can. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the shortness of life. He understood that every day was borrowed. Every hour was precious. So ask yourself, how much of your life have you already spent trying to become acceptable to people who were never satisfied? How many dreams have you postponed because someone else disapproved? How many nights have you lost replaying conversations, trying to make everyone understand your intentions? The Stoics would tell you something surprisingly simple. You do not need to be understood by everyone. You only need to understand yourself. There is a strange freedom that arrives when you stop explaining every decision. You no longer waste energy defending your boundaries. You no longer feel compelled to justify your silence. You let your actions speak with the quiet confidence that words often cannot. Those who respect you will understand. Those who don't would have argued no matter how carefully you explained. This is why endless explanations rarely create peace. They create negotiation. Every explanation invites another argument, another opinion, another attempt to convince you that your own judgment cannot be trusted. Marcus Aurelius trusted reason more than applause. He knew that the crowd is often loud, but wisdom is almost always quiet. Imagine a lighthouse standing on a rocky coast. It does not chase ships across the ocean. It does not beg sailors to notice its light. It simply stands where it belongs. Steady, reliable, unmoved by the storm. Your character should become like that lighthouse, not chasing approval, not fearing rejection, simply standing firm in what you know is right. This does not mean becoming cold. It means becoming clear. Clear about what you will accept, clear about what you will no longer tolerate, clear about the kind of person you choose to become. Because clarity is one of the greatest forms of kindness. It prevents false expectations, it protects honest relationships, and it allows people to meet the real you, not the version constantly edited to earn their approval. In the end, the goal is not to become less compassionate. The goal is to become compassionate without becoming captive, to give because you choose to, not because you are afraid not to love freely, without abandoning yourself, to help generously, without expecting your worth in return. That is the balance the Stoics sought, and perhaps that is the balance your soul has been searching for all along, because the day you stop living to be liked is the day you finally begin living to be true. And in a world that rewards appearances, there is nothing more powerful than a person who quietly refuses to betray their own character.